Honestly, I don't want to get very political when it comes to talking about the Orange Man. Kind of killed the cycle by launching Trump, right? And then Melania. Trump is literally the top tier KOL for crypto, literally.
People are crazy. It is a crazy space, and the fight for attention is at an all-time high. Somebody said, I'm 16. I make a lot of money. That's 5 figures a month in crypto, but I'm very lonely. I'm struggling to get a girl to love, even though I'm good looking. I feel like a lot of my friends are fake, and I have trust issues.
Think anyone who makes a substantial amount of money and they don't have a vision and a mission in their life, they will become depressed. No amount of money will ever make you be happy. If you don't have a goal in life, you're not going to be happy or satisfied, no matter the amount of money you have.
Wow.
Welcome to the Money Panda, hosted by Elvis Kolawole.
Boom! Hey, welcome everyone to the third episode of the new season of the Money Panda, and I have this man right here. This man right here is a guy I met actually during the NFT boom when NFTs were still a thing. And he was really deep into that life. But today he's much more of a marketing bro for social media. Currently, Aliaksandr Chuhunou. I truly hope I am pronouncing that well. But Chuhunov or Alex Chuhunou is the chief director of Vibe 3. I hope I pronounced that well as well. And Vibe 3 is a marketing agency that helps crypto startups to find their way on social media. Um, Alex, take it away. Let everyone know who you are and what you're doing in the space.
Yo, pleasure to be here. And I mean, NFTs are still a thing, so that's maybe a topic of discussion for another time, but or maybe throughout this podcast. But yeah,
Yeah,
man,
oh
thank you,
shit.
thank you for having me, bro. I'm Alex. I've been in the space since 2018. Lost money, made money, learning few things here and there. I am currently fully concentrated on the social media management agency, which is called Vibe. So yeah, and we focus mainly on Twitter growth, utilizing social media management, marketing, and all the good stuff. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here, bro. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And yeah, you are right. I think we probably should treat a few things concerning NFTs because damn, people still make money from NFTs and whatnot, but I think I'm more or less completely detached from all of that currently. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's see some of the things that have been happening in the world of crypto and probably beyond. So the first thing I want to treat with you is that big orange man or that big ginger man. Um, so what do you think about Trump so far, at least for crypto? I think I shared something, I shared some of the policies so far. I tried to do a little bit of a deep dive into some of the things he's done, some of his appointments. Quite the track record already. You know, wherever that guy goes, like that's where the news follows. And I guess it's been the same since he's a fan of crypto. So what do you think about him and his effect on crypto so far?
Honestly, I don't want to get very political when it comes to talking about the Orange Man, but
Please, please go ahead. Shoot his ass
no,
down. Knife him up.
I mean, look, he kind of killed the cycle by launching Trump, right? And then Melania. So that's a whole different story. And, we have to actually see if the market is going to recover
Uh,
after that. That said, Bitcoin is, over 100K. So that's working very well. But I think the Orange Man, what he's doing really well is establishing US as, the leading country when it comes to Bitcoin reserves. And that's a very good thing because then countries who don't implement Bitcoin reserves are going to be left behind. I mean, we saw Germany,
Yeah.
right? Germany sold all their Bitcoin and then lost billions and billions and billions, as Trump would say, impossible funding, like they could have had. So, I mean, the Orange Man most probably is a good thing for Bitcoin, but he did mess up the rest of the market kind of after launching Trump and Melania.
Yeah, would you actually say it was Melania itself that killed the market or the Trump meme coin itself? I think it was Melania.
Yes, it was overkill. There was absolutely no need for it. It was like max extraction to beyond and above, There was no need. Like, why? It was basically you
Yeah.
saying crime is legal now.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like I made a video the other day actually talking about it. Like, like the DOJ has scrapped the crypto investigations unit, so their Department of Justice. So there is actually no real department like within Department of Justice for investigating crypto crimes anymore. So it's open season, I guess.
I mean, yeah, also with the Argentina coin, right? What happened in Hayden and all of that good stuff. I mean, well, not really good stuff, but there's some serious crime going on, bro.
Yeah, there is. There surely is. Okay. And actually, speaking of the Trumps, have you seen Eric Trump? So the things
Yeah.
he's been saying, like,
Mainly
what
about
what do you?
Ethereum, right?
I think he's been talking about Bitcoin. He's been yapping on and on around Ethereum. But then he's basically taunting the traditional banks and whatever. And you might say, okay, it might be because either because his dad is Trump or probably because he has this, I don't know whether it's a mining firm. He represents whether a Bitcoin mining firm or like a bit of a Bitcoin VC vehicle or something. But like, what do you think about, people who are so close to the president, like, being so bullish? That's also good.
I mean, look, there was not a really good look for him when he said that, is the best time to buy Ethereum now, and then it tanked like minus 50%. That's definitely not a good look on that because crypto Twitter might forget things really fast, and most people most probably already forgot about it. But like the fact that he gave the alpha call and then the Ethereum price tanked was not a good thing. But generally speaking, I mean, since he's a Trump son, then it kind of makes sense for him to become a crypto KOL, on a different level. He's like tier S KOL, he's part of the, presidential family. So he's tier S. So, I mean, if he has a mining firm, his dad is pro Bitcoin, pro Ethereum, and they're buying it clearly, then it makes sense if he wants to talk about it, right?
Yeah, perhaps. I having the thought about like somebody's in political circles basically being a KOL is so weird. It's so weird. Like, how are we normalizing this shit? Like, oh my gosh.
I
Like,
mean,
it's
bro,
so.
Trump is literally the top tier KOL for crypto, literally. There is Murad, there is Ansem, and then there is Trump.
I swear. So in that order, Murat
Yeah.
and so and then Trump. Yeah. Okay. And actually speaking of KOLs, shit, like I wanted to know, so I've been running marketing campaigns and you probably have as well. So being a crypto marketer, one of the platforms that people have been using to try to get sentiments is Kato, which you're aware of. And initially, the thing I didn't like, I think especially earlier this year, seeing people yapping, if they call it, getting their yaps on, is I felt like lots of people were giving out what I say fake engagement, like starting up fake conversations and trying to get their yaps up, trying to get rewards, and I'm just like, what do you think, like, about that space, about the idea of Yaps or InfoFi, or what do you think about Kato's success so far? Like, what does it say for the space for you as a marketer?
Yeah. So, to be honest with you, incentives have always been around in crypto. So, it started off with airdrop meta, which was caused by Uniswap. Then we went from airdrop meta to questing meta, which is Zili Galaxy
Mm-hmm.
layer 3, I think. Then from airdrop meta to questing meta, we went to points meta, which was Blast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're at the final phase of mindshare, and that's where Kaito is leading. So, in my opinion, is that there will always be incentives, and how long will the mindshare meta last? And InfoFi, I don't know, because airdrop meta lasted for quite some time. Then questing meta lasted for
Yeah.
quite some time. So the mindshare meta is quite new and obviously is innovative. People are trying to farm yaps. That's very obvious. But at the same time, I think they're improving their algorithms. They're improving the way that things work. But what's most interesting is that now companies allocate reward pool to people talking about their projects through Kaito directly. And this is
Mm.
very interesting because marketing agencies that offer KOL services, they will not become obsolete, but Kaito now offers an even playing ground for everyone, right? Through
Mm-hmm.
those reward pools. And people might be more incentivized to talk about projects that they specifically want to talk about. So it's
Mm.
very interesting how everything is working out right now. And also, I do want to say is that there's market share and there's mind share. Mind share is general mind share of the whole crypto Twitter. But market share, imagine Uniswap versus 1inch versus all of the other dexes, and that's how you have to measure your mind share through
Mm.
that lens, not through typical entire crypto Twitter, but directly within your niche.
Okay. I think like that's a good way to look at it. Because I think this like the way that they are, how do I describe it? Like democratizing like access to mindshare. It is really good. And like you said, I don't think necessarily KOL type agencies would go out of style because it's not like everyone yapping is going to be a KOL. But then that incentive, I think, is actually it's innovative. The only thing I used to have a look at, like some kind of way, is I don't know, the way people try to farm apps. It sort of makes token movements and a market that was already inorganic in nature to be even far more inorganic when you know that people are having sentiments more like because they're incentivized to, not because they 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 care about it. But then, although you can also look at the fact that whenever, for example, say a product gives you value, that's an incentive by itself. And this is just another form of incentive. But then, I don't know, it's just for me, I'm just thinking like, do we really need like, would I say a trend towards less and less inorganic ways to measure sentiment, or less and less inorganic ways to build mindshare? Because I mean, like people used to say Zelia, whatever, they're always botted. People used to say airdrop farmers are not real community members, all that stuff. And it feels like there is another extension of this here, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think maybe with time we might just see if, it's just the same as the airdrop farming, the points farming like Blast, or whatnot. So it's something we will see if it just continues that way. Um, yeah, another crazy bombshell that came in the space was Coinbase. So you heard about it like very recently, the fact that cyber crooks actually allegedly stole customer information, and they demanded a $20 million ransom payment. And instead of trying to pay that payment, Coinbase decided to open up a fund, open up a fund for everyone else minus the hackers, to actually like get to the bottom of this. And that actually that actually gets to a few questions. One, do you think like this is another strategic did I say this is another strategic weakness, or maybe another strategic risk for the space, especially for an exchange like Coinbase, because you also know that Coinbase actually joined the S&P 500, so they're really, really big. as more crypto companies join the S&P 500, you expect that they will be exposed to risks like this. So how do you think, like stuff like this can be mitigated? And do you think like this was the right play? What would you do if you were Coinbase and you were shaken down like this?
To be honest with you, that was a complete boss move by Brian. I think that was a complete boss move to reverse the table and to shift the frame. I think it was
Reverse,
insane. Yeah, but at the same time, this shows that there's pros and cons to both decentralization and centralization. I
yeah,
mean, like many people are yapping. You see, this became a phrase right now from Kaito, yapping, and like you can utilize it in any sentence, and it became a thing. That's another way of marketing, by the way. Very well done by them.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, but there's literally pros and cons. Like some people will be pro KYC, some people will be anti KYC and say use DEX and decentralized finance instead of Coinbase. So that's very interesting, right? But this is not the first time that data has been leaked from a company. For example, it also happened to Ledger, and
Mm,
this it mitigates huge risks because now people have access to the most biggest whales of Coinbase with their personal data. And now, if you take into account that AI came into play, and then the hackers or the people with the information can call you with a deep fake of your daughter or son, and
oh shit.
make them send the funds directly because they know they have them. And by the way, the criminal world is not sleeping, bro. Like they're very active,
Yeah.
especially now. That crypto is heating up. Like same thing that happening right now in Paris, right? Like
Mm.
the kidnappings is absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is crazy. They're always active. I mean, I always knew that like there's quite a huge scene. I didn't know like they are currently targeting like crypto bros. Is that like a huge thing? Do you know anyone that got robbed recently? Paris or
I
Manchester
mean,
or something like that?
look, when I went to NFT Paris in 2024, it wasn't directly targeted at crypto users, but I mean, Paris has generally a really huge crime rate right now, and it's just the truth, Like on the first day, I heard at least 5 or 10 people say that the phone was stolen. But let's not
Fuck.
forget that like Ledger headquarters is in Paris, I believe, and
Oh,
that's where it came to the Ledger CEO being targeted.
fuck.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, it is just crime, 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 crime everywhere. And I don't know what you could attribute that to, but I think it's maybe, I guess maybe just criminals finding a place with lots of wealth. I think it's the same with London. I guess like lots of
Yeah.
the crime you see in London and other huge cities. Okay. Actually, and still sticking with sexes, not sexes, but not sex.
Bro, I think you
But
should say the entire word. I think you should say the entire word: decentralized finance and centralized finance.
Yeah, and no. Yeah, by the way, please do not say sexist like I just did, or dexes. Just yeah. So I mean centralized exchanges. Sticking with centralized exchanges. Yeah, did you must have seen the story about Binance admitting insider trading, and boy, 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 boy. Where do I even start with Binance? To be very honest, and I say this as a person, just like everyone else in the space who is probably financially linked to these people in one way or the other. I think like there are a lot of criminals in these companies. I'm not saying maybe the companies themselves are criminal. I mean, that's probably a different conversation. But yes, there are a lot of criminals in these companies. In fact, with the case of Coinbase, I think the only way they actually could maybe get the location of these call centers overseas is probably with insider information, right? So like there are always these practices that you see with centralized exchanges, they are always early to different sorts of tokens. They're always charging draconian fees, shit like 10% of token supply. I saw that and I was like what the actual fuck?
They're printing.
Like they're pretty much printing, and it's like all the other exchanges are sort of like fighting to get the privilege to do this sort of behavior. So they're doing this, and to top it all off, of course, like there are employees of Binance and probably the likes of other exchanges who are participating in insider trading. And so, what do you think about this? And what do you think about the evils of centralized exchanges? There are so many, I don't think we can even touch them on this podcast.
First of all, I do want to say that, the case with Coinbase was through customer support. And I worked as a customer support rep back in the days for completely outside the Web3 world. And
Okay.
this sort of things happen in all companies. Like,
Mm,
this is not, I don't think this is strategically planned for, Web3 when it comes to such things. But yeah,
okay.
but when it comes, back to Web3, with Binance, demanding 10% of the supply prior to listing. I mean, look, they needed to take an advantage over the meme coin mania, and there was so much volume for them to just they couldn't stay out of it. But my issue is that they're also delisting tokens once it doesn't make sense for them to have them. So I mean, do we hold them accountable to some extent? I don't think anyone can hold them accountable. Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, what
no
are we
one
gonna
can.
say? What are we gonna say? We can talk about it on the timeline, but at the end of the day, it's not like Caesar is gonna be like, Alex and Elvis have spoken out. We have to take new measures. No, bro, it's not gonna happen. And clearly, we're not gonna boycott Binance either.
Yeah, we're not because like every project we have is probably it's that's probably one of the goals, you know? Like you start a project, you probably want to list there. So and they know that.
The other thing that's mind blowing to me is that I'm not sure, but I didn't know that to get listed on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, you have to pay like 10, 15, 20 grand. I don't think this was the case back in the days, by the way.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, another way of generating revenue, I get it, but people are printing, bro.
It is crazy. I think it's maybe the first mover, well, maybe not the first mover, but like an early mover opportunity and just doing this shit really well because I I know that there were at least there were many crypto exchanges maybe that tried and failed to do cryptocurrency well, and it was only until, crypto got a little more mature. I don't know when was Binance actually created. When was Binance actually founded? Let me see. Let me quickly see. 2017, yeah. So Binance was found 2017 around the ICO era, and by that time, there was already quite a market for a lot of um tokens and a lot of coins coming into the markets. So I guess by that time they figured out how to, build an exchange really well, and the likes of CoinMarketCap and Co also figured out a way to sort of dominate before everyone could. I guess it's sort of like, um, I think it's sort of like every other industry where somebody comes in early, they get a big lead over everyone else, and when they have that big lead, they sort of squeeze everyone trying to come in, and they squeeze everyone for what they're worth. So it's crazy. It's actually quite crazy.
I just quickly did a fact check. Coinbase was launched in 2012.
So they have been there for a long ass time. So it's just
Yeah.
that I think maybe they were limited to Bitcoin or so. I think they were limited to Bitcoin at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, there's actually a very interesting book. I don't remember the name. It's somewhere there in my living room. But they started off with Bitcoin. They were doing OTC transactions and all of that stuff, and trying to make it in the Silicon Valley. And from what it looks like, they made it, bro.
Yeah, they they did well for themselves. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, you
I
have
mean,
this
they were
dude.
sitting on the table with Trump, discussing it in the White House about how to
Yeah,
take crypto forward, So big boy moves.
yeah, and to be very honest, like credit to them, I think they're one of the guys who actually early on took the political side of this shit like very seriously. Like they took it seriously, like getting to congressmen, senators, every regulators, like all of that stuff. Like they really took that seriously, like before anyone else, probably even before Binance. So, especially in the US. So yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So actually, there's quite a lot to talk about. Maybe we'll circle back maybe we'll circle back to some of the other topics we want to talk about. But then real quick, I want you to talk about your agency. I want to talk about Vibe 3. Like what led to you starting Vibe 3 and what's it like currently?
You know, I wanted to do social media management for
Huh.
quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I entered the space in 2018. I think for the last literal 7 years, I'm daily, chronically online, like 12 hours a day learning.
Mm,
During 2021, 2022 NFT bull run and general bull run, I made quite a substantial amount of money, but then lost it all. And going forward, I realized that the way that I want to make it in life or in business or in Web3 is through cash flow and building something meaningful. But my issue was mainly that I did not have skills to complement a scalable business because at that time I was working as tech support, customer support, but I managed to get my foot through the door at working at Rarible as community support engineer, but that's not scalable. And I always wanted, to instead of being a lurker on Twitter or lurker on LinkedIn, to start and creating content. But it was not creating content to become a content creator, but it was more of creating content to build relationships, trust, and offer some sort of value. Because, like, otherwise, I'm keeping it all to myself. And then came an opportunity that I joined a company in Cyprus as a social media manager, and it was a Web3 project. So, you know, I always wanted, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Like, I've been always doing things on the side here and there. But, you know, without some experience, how am I going to launch any sort of business myself? So, I gained like 1 year, 2 years experience of working in a
mm-hmm.
company as social media manager before proceeding to freelancing for a few projects here and there. Meanwhile, building, a following base on Twitter. And eventually came a point that I met the right people that aligned with me on the vision, the mission, the values, and that's when my team became from just me freelancing to two people to three core team members to now over 5 people working all together on the company. So, but bro, I'm not gonna lie, the journey was not easy. And when you're working as a founder, there's infinite amount of variables that you must always be tweaking. And yeah, so Vibe was launched around 8 months ago, and I think we had over 10 clients so far, and we're slowly moving forward. But we're also in discovery phase of what services to offer, how to position ourselves. It's because like at the beginning we're like just reply guy, then social media management, then marketing, then also working on founders, brands, and ghostwriting. To be honest with you, like at the moment, it's a little pool of different things that we do, but eventually I want to streamline one focus lane on what services we offer and what we do best. But that's basically the breakdown.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Nice. I like the direction of that. So you said you're currently doing quite a few things, but you want to streamline a little going forward. Okay, okay. That's beautiful. I mean, shout out to the entrepreneurial journey. I think anyone who's able to do that is a brave, brave, brave man. I mean, I would hope that, one day I would also like branch out on my own as well. You're already doing it and fucking hell. I mean, I'm just happy for you, bro. I'm too happy that you were able to do that. Um, in fact, I think, at some point, yeah, at some point I probably will do the same. And then
You should.
maybe
You should.
like I've always thought about it, like what could be the difference? Like maybe doing some freelance work and maybe being an employee. Maybe it's like different circumstances around my life, sort of trying to find that extra cushion, you know, but yeah, I mean, it's stuff I could actually tell you later, like quite a few reasons actually. I actually tell you what, I actually will tell you off camera because there are actually some personal reasons why I'm more like, ugh, maybe I should maybe find a cushion, and not just jump in straight up into being an entrepreneur.
I usually
But yeah,
charge $1,000 per hour. I'm joking, bro. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah, for sure. Let's jump on. Let's do it, bro. More than
yeah,
happy to inspire and motivate other people.
yeah, sure thing. Okay, so let's get into some video, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me share my screen with you. Oh my gosh, crypto Twitter is the funniest.
You
Crypto
can
Twitter.
honestly end up doom scrolling on there for like 12 hours a day. It's too much fun.
So there's this girl, I think she's a Solana girl. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Gigi. Yes,
Yeah, Gigi, you know Gigi, don't you?
of course. I met her in NFT Paris.
Awesome. Gigi is so funny. Check out this video from her. I think my network is shitty.
Typical, typical relationship if both of you are into crypto.
Wait, do you think that's actually the best? Like, would you want like a crypto bay, like crypto, like somebody who's a degen, like into that degen life, deep, like would you want a girl? Or wait, first of all, hold
I
up.
don't
Are you
know, bro.
single?
Yes,
Okay, so that means I'm safe to ask this question because let not be that some girl is looking at you like, ah, you don't want me? No, so let's ask like, so would you want like a crypto bae, like a crypto girly, like one of the crypto girlies? Why?
bro. To be honest with you, first of all, it depends. Would I want a crypto girl? Yes, most probably I would.
Wow.
But I think there is more things that need to align with that. To be honest with you, I get very excited when I meet someone and they're like, "Yeah, I have some crypto." I'm like, "Nice." But yeah, if it comes to like long-term relationship, I think there's more things that come into play than just the person being interested in crypto. But yes, I would like to meet more crypto girls and build relationships. That'd be awesome.
Ah, so wait, so you would actually be on board with dating a degen, like an actual degen, not just a
What do you mean
crypto
by
girl, like
okay, what do you mean by degen? Because like if she's just gambling all her money, then that's one thing. But if she's trying to build something in Web3, that's a different story.
no, well, ostensibly somebody like Gigi, for example. I mean, somebody you can picture on deck screener for like 5 hours straight. I mean, somebody like that. I mean, she might have like an actual job. Maybe she's a dev or something. But I mean, somebody who actually you would see like on. So seriously.
So would I date someone in Web3? I think the answer is yes.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I already have someone. I'm not single, so I think no. Not because I do not like Web3 girlies. It's more like I think like there's more to life, like you said, than than tokens. And sometimes I feel like I don't know, some of the degenerate energy that I might come with, I'm not so sure like that might be what I want to see in a girl. Maybe I might favor, I don't know, I might favor like a different sort of vibe. from a person I'm dating, and I'm not sure that's what I can get from somebody who is like filled with Red Bulls and coffee and and got their eyes glued on green candles and red candles all day, like
Every activity pumped out fun.
yeah, I mean, it'll be a little crazy. Yeah, I wanted to ask, did you see this link, like the Near Protocol boob link? Did you see that?
The the can you show
Near
me?
Protocol.
That was a marketing strategy, yes.
You also think so, don't you?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Those guys are so those guys are some other shit, like because like they've done something like that before. Aside from that, like Near Protocol was up, I've forgotten how much, but it was up like I think double digits, like on that same day. So I was just looking like, like really, like how did this happen? Like what a coincidence. Like, but why? Why do they like shit like that? I mean, for example, I'm all about I like stunts. I actually do. Like I always advise my companies to do stunts. But then seeing somebody who's so committed to it like again and again and again is always funny, you know?
To be honest with you, I didn't know that prior to the boob leak, they'd had something similarly done before. I didn't know that.
No, they did a fake hack. Can you believe this, Church? They created a fake message, like a fake series of messages saying that they've been hacked. And then like later on they sort of shoved everyone's face in it like boo-hoo, we were not hacked, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Um and then like some people were like, you're not supposed to do that. Like that's like crying wolf. And the day when you are actually hacked, like nobody's gonna take you seriously.
Yeah, I mean, okay, about the hack is I think the hack is more serious than the boob leak.
Yeah, that is pretty serious.
I guess they
And
pivoted strategies to something extreme, right? They went from being hacked to nudity. I mean, that's a better approach. I mean, it went viral all over the Twitter, and top tier accounts were saying that this was such a brilliant marketing strategy because it got everyone talking about it, right?
yeah, but are you willing to do anything like that? For example, would you advise your companies to do a boob leak live?
I mean, I don't think I would advise a boob leak to do it live, but if the client wanted something along those lines and they were very firm about it that we want a boob leak, then I guess yeah. But otherwise, I would usually try to approach something more something different. I don't like the hack or the boob leak. I think there can be something more extreme done. I don't know, like for example, there was this NFT platform that was providing analytics, and what they did was they made a marketing campaign where it actually revolved around a McDonald's job ad as their banner on their website. And they
Jeez.
basically pushed through their marketing efforts about that, and that increased exponentially the website's visit and the traffic. So that was extreme, but it was also ethical, I think, in most people's books, and still McDonald's job ad is very relevant in Web3. But yeah, bootleg and hacks. First of all, I think the hacking part is way too far. Like that's not cool. The bootleg also pretty extreme, but they got the job done.
People are crazy. People are crazy. People are crazy. It is a crazy space, and the fight for attention is at an all-time high. Okay, so maybe we should check out a few coin confessions.
I love that
Maybe
account.
I think that's my favorite account actually on the whole of crypto Twitter. Like
I wonder if all of those messages are actually legit, but at the end of the day, I don't think it matters.
yeah, I think they're not legit, but I don't care. I personally do not care. Like I
It's
think
very
I think it's
relatable, right?
yeah, a lot of stuff are actually relatable. Yeah, and like you said, I actually do not care if they are fake or real confessions or confessions. I do not care. I think they're entertaining as hell. and I love them. So let's go through a few, shall we?
Yep, let's do it.
Um, Somebody said, I'm 16. I make a lot of money. That's 5 figures a month in crypto, but I'm very lonely. I'm struggling to get a girl to love, even though I'm good looking. I feel like a lot of my friends are fake and I have trust issues. I don't know what to do. I feel like the money ruined my life. Shit,
I
it's tough.
I think is it done? Is that the
Yeah,
confession?
yeah,
I you know
yeah,
I
that's all.
I think anyone who makes a substantial amount of money and they don't have a vision and a mission in their life, they will become depressed. No amount of money will ever make you be happy. If you don't have a goal in life, you're not going to be happy or satisfied, no matter the amount of money you have.
Wow. I mean, it's tough, like I find it very strange, the fact that there are people with lots of money and they still have issues like this. But I think for him, he's lucky because he's 16. He has time. So, I mean, if you're out there and you're young, I would say that, there is a lot of time. I wish somebody told me that at the time, when I was a teenager as well, that there is so much time, so much to be seen, so much to be felt. Yeah, so it has time. I genuinely feel like it has time, so there's nothing to worry about.
I think that having a substantial amount of money at the age of 16, especially if it was made out of a meme coin, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing, bro. Yeah,
Why?
I think that can psychologically and mentally damage your perception of life. If it was easy money made,
Uh,
I think it can damage you.
yeah, except maybe you start to except maybe you start to have some sort of perception of what life actually is like, and you start to have a perception of like what hard work is, what earning is, what normalcy actually is.
Yeah,
I guess that's why child stars sometimes, they become, dysfunctional as adults,
yeah.
that sort of thing. It is what it is. Okay, another one. Somebody said, I sold all my crypto during the May 2021 crash, not because of panic, but to pay for my son's chemotherapy. Best decision I've ever had, best decision I've ever made, but he's nowhere here with us anymore. That's
I
tough.
mean,
That
I have
is
no comment
tough.
for this. I'll leave this one out, but that's terrible.
That's really, 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 really tough. Sometimes I wonder if some of these are real, but that actually, I don't know. I don't know. That actually feels real to me
Yeah.
because according to him, his son is already dead, and he still cashed out in 2021. You know. Anyways, here's another very deep one or a very painful one. Somebody says, I took 80K out of my daughter's college fund to long Solana at 220. So he took 80K to long Solana at 220, and according to him, it hurts me every time I look at her. I thought I could make it 300K and move her family from Chicago. She still thinks I have the money and that I can send her to college as her friends.
I mean, maybe if he just bought Solana and waited for like 3, 4 years, maybe he could outperform what he invested. Um, but I think many people once it comes to digital money compared to like holding physical cash, sometimes people forget that those digital numbers on the screen actually is monetary value. you know, you can become very
It's cra
disattached to those numbers, you know?
it's actually crazy if you think about it. Like you can be, oh man, you can be attached to the numbers, but like unattached from reality, but
Yeah,
detached from reality,
yeah,
which is very, very strange. A very strange way to exist.
yeah.
Anyways, um, somebody said, I used to run an NFT project that was a derivative of George Floyd. You know who George Floyd
Yeah.
is? The guy. I used to run an NFT project that was a derivative of George Floyd, and I made 50K from Mint and I rugged it. Good times.
I mean, wait, first of all, how can it be a derivative of George Floyd? If you're the first one to make a
Maybe,
George Floyd collection, that means it's original, right?
maybe it already existed
Maybe,
like
yeah.
previously.
But yeah, I think in the Web3 space, people are willing to do almost anything for money, bro. There's no ethics sometimes.
Fuck. Like some of the ones I'm seeing here are crazy. People are crazy. Somebody said, I have a series of graphic nudes and videos of my ex-girlfriend that I uploaded to IPFS. Blockchain is fun, and so is decentralized revenge porn. Bro, decentralized revenge porn. Really?
But I
Really?
don't think IPFS is actually fully decentralized, but I might be wrong. But I think there is ways of taking it down from IPFS.
Yeah, I think there must be, but I mean, the fact that this is even allowed is
Bro,
crazy.
bro, that's very haram.
Wait, wait, why did you say haram? Are you Muslim now?
No, I just internet language, you know. I live on the internet more than real life, so you know, I like it.
People are crazy. People are crazy. And people are sort of confessing the craziest stuff. Somebody said that he's a serial rugger in the Solana ecosystem. He's been running 19 projects, 19 projects, 19 different Solana projects for over $1 million.
Would you do that?
Offer a legitimate service. You're sort of like covering up for people who do the illegitimate stuff, you know? And it's crazy. Like, what do you think about ruggers generally?
Thing is very difficult to give a precise definition to when it comes to do you consider a project a rug? I'll give you an example. Like, if someone's motive is to launch a meme coin, rug it, it's a rug. What we see very often with Web3 gaming, especially, or generally, actually,
Yeah.
most projects in Web3, there's a very high chance of failure. And there's a difference between
Hmm.
projects failure and projects rugging. And at the same time, if you look at Azuki, right, Zagabond actually run several projects prior to Azuki in order to learn. I think there is this thing that is very difficult to learn in Web3 without being called a rugger. Like, how do you experiment? How do you launch? How do you learn if your failure can be taken so heavily or so, you know, like you'll get a lot of backlash and your reputation will fall. But at the same time, it's like if you never run an NFT project and you have all the best intentions in order for it to succeed, but you don't, like even to step away from the project afterwards when it's dead, you're gonna get completely obliterated by the timeline. And this is very
Yeah.
interesting. And it comes also back to Web3 gaming, you know? Like I know projects who have raised money and then they failed. But the reality is that like
Yeah. There are
1%,
many.
yeah, no, the reality is that gaming, overall gaming, there's like 1% chance of success rate to become a successful game. So everyone who's
Yeah.
trying to innovate, you know, with Web3 gaming, and they simply don't get funding or they run out of funds, then they're being called druggers. But in reality is that Web2 games, if they fail, no one talks about it, right? They just don't play it anymore. So how do we innovate in that space?
Ah, no, that's a difficult one. That's a very difficult one. Like, how do you continue to do it? And I think the issue is the fact that tokens are so intrinsically linked to the life and death of the game. I think that's also the problem because it's not like because, for example, in Web2, there are different business models that might try to what I say, provide for such a scenario where funding runs out. But I think generally, like businesses where you're too dependent on VC funding is always likely to die eventually. That's if you do not get if you're unable to get acquired or if you're unable to If you're able to sell to some other VC, you will eventually die. Like that's how it usually is. Like no matter how much you raise or whatever. That's crazy. And another thing, personally, I do not like how much of VC culture is in Web3 space. But I guess I think VCs are the only ones that are crazy enough to deal with some of the crazy shit we deal with in this space. So I think that's just crazy. So it's weird because no one else is going to have the stomach for risk or for bullshit, frankly, that we see in this space. No one else is going to. You're not going to get that with private equity. You're probably not going to get that with anything else. It's probably
Yeah.
just VCs are your only. So it's crazy. I would love for the space to deal with anyone else, maybe to stop dealing with so many VCs, so that this VC type cultures sort of leave the space. But
I think
we are where we are.
I think overall the space is starting to become more mature. And how do we know this? Is
Yeah,
because we don't see 1,000 NFT projects being launched every single day. So now, if someone wants to launch an NFT project, people care who is the team, what experience do they have, what are they going to deliver, and generally speaking, when a market matures, there is less of fluff and more of quality. And I think we're going to this place right now when it comes to, Web3 gaming, NFT projects, whether it's a layer two or layer one. People are starting to care more about who the team is, what experience do they have, and like, is it actually like good looking on paper and in theory before putting their money anywhere else? I think we're maturing as a space.
and I'm happy for that. I'm too happy for that. One more thing, Jesus, we spent too much time. But one more thing, one more thing. Speaking about maturity of the space, fucking hell, MicroStrategy and of course Michael Saylor now owns around 2.3% of the total Bitcoin supply. Isn't that too much? What do you feel? Like, is it is it like a huge systemic risk that one person has that much?
I don't think it's him personally holding it. It's
I mean, yeah,
yeah, no, no,
yeah.
like, but to answer the question, I don't think it's him personally just holding it. Um, but I think that, it's also MicroStrategy that's selling the shares. And it's not just him holding it, but I think he's running multiple businesses at the same time to sustain the level of income that is required to operate efficiently for everything he does. But generally speaking, having that much Bitcoin, maybe as a person, yes, but as a community, as several shareholders having a say of what happens to that Bitcoin, I think is a different scenario. But at the same time, I'm actually very curious. Is he ever going to sell? And what is his strategy on selling? Because there's no chance that he's saying
He
that.
will sell. He will
I
sell.
don't think he
There
sold
is
anything
100%
so
no,
far. So far, he hasn't sold anything.
yeah, so far. But no, nobody is going to convince me he's never going to sell. If you try to convince me, I'll just be like, you're bullshit. He's going to sell. I don't know when. It might take maybe 3 years or 5 years from now, but he will surely sell one day, even though he's forced to or something. It might be maybe for to uphold the integrity of the business or something. But he's gonna sell.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but he's gonna sell. Okay, Michael Saylor, I love you. If you're ever gonna see this, yeah. Anyway, we have come to the end of this podcast. Thank you so much. Jeez, man, fuck. What a space we have, and what a, what a learning curve we definitely have. I think, in terms of marketing, in terms of things, being organic or inorganic, in terms of people having too much of the Bitcoin supply, in terms of VCs funding everything, in terms of the culture, there's so much growth to happen. There is so much growth to go, and it feels surreal to say this, that we are still early, even in 2025, which is weird that we are still somewhat early, even at this time. I do not think we are that early anymore. Oh, we are still somewhat early, you know. If your entire aim is to try and change the world, or you're just trying to make some money, you can still come in and do that. So 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 it's beautiful. And do you have any final thoughts and where people can find you?
I think that when you say we're early, I think we're early as a Web3 space, but not so early to Bitcoin, perhaps, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Um, but
Yes.
yeah, generally
Yeah.
speaking, I think this space moves much faster than any other industry. There is like constant daily innovations, updates, and I don't think Web3 is built for everyone. If you're not ready to,
Yeah.
like if you're going to work as a social media manager or marketer, be prepared to spend minimum 40 hours a week. Minimum. This space is not for everyone. My final thoughts are most probably if you love Web3 space, you know, try to build something meaningful, try ethical and have morals. People can find me on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. It's usually Chuhunov underscore ETH on, well, Chuhunov underscore ETH on Twitter, Chuhunov on YouTube. My LinkedIn is a whole different story. You're not going to be able to spell my name if I say it. But yeah, thank you for having me, Elvis, bro. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for this opportunity, bro.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to know, it's Aliaksandr. Just the way I said it, it is Aliaksandr. Aliaks. Oh my gosh, am I murdering it? Why are
No,
you
no,
looking
it's
at me like
good.
that?
No, but like, I think it's still very hard to spell. It's Aliaksandr Chuhunou. If someone figures it out, I'll give you $10. Joke, but yeah, add me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, yeah, sure thing, sure thing. And of course, go find him on YouTube, find him everywhere. Yeah, amazing guy. I'm very sure he has quite a lot of insights to share. Yes, and we've come to the end of this podcast, and let's see. Most likely we'll have another episode by next week, and we'll probably be dealing with all of the madness in this beautiful space of ours. Until next time, bye bye, everyone. Peace.